So you're planning a trip to Pensacola, Florida? Good call. The beaches are gorgeous, the sand does half the selling by itself, and the whole trip can look ridiculously simple when you're scrolling hotel photos at midnight. But Pensacola can trick you fast. Pick the wrong side of town, choose the wrong beach, treat Fort Pickens like a quick little stop, or plan your whole day around NAS Pensacola without checking access, and suddenly your easy beach trip turns into driving, waiting, sweating, and wondering why the day feels harder than it should. This is the practical planning version. We're talking best time to visit, where to stay, which beaches fit which days, how to handle Fort Pickens, what to know about the Blue Angels and the Naval Aviation Museum, and the small timing move that quietly saves the whole trip. Best time to visit and where to stay. Start with timing, because Pensacola changes a lot depending on the month you pick. For a first visit, spring is the easiest window to recommend. March and April usually give you warm weather without the full summer squeeze, and Visit Pensacola describes those months around 70 to 77 degrees. That's the kind of weather where you can actually enjoy the trip instead of planning every outdoor stop around shade, air conditioning, and who forgot sunscreen. Spring also gives you more room to build a mixed trip. You can do beach time, walk around downtown, eat outside, and maybe line things up with Blue Angels practice season if the schedule cooperates. It still gets busy around spring break and big events, so don't picture an empty beach with one dramatic seagull flying by. But compared with peak summer, spring gives you more breathing room and fewer moments where everyone in the car suddenly gets quiet because traffic stopped moving. Summer is the version a lot of people imagine when they book Pensacola. The water feels better, families are traveling, beach restaurants are busy, and Pensacola Beach has that full Gulf Coast energy. The trade-off shows up fast once you're crossing toward the beach on a packed day. Hotels cost more, parking gets tighter, the sun gets serious. Bridge traffic can turn a short drive into a group therapy session with beach towels. Summer can be a great trip, but you have to plan like thousands of other people also notice the sand. Fall can be a smart move, especially if you want warmer water with lighter crowds than midsummer. Just keep hurricane season in the back of your mind. The official Atlantic season runs from June through November, so late summer and fall trips need a little flexibility. Watch the forecast, avoid booking every part of the trip with zero wiggle room, and give yourself backup plans. Most fall days can still be great, but on this coast, weather gets a vote. Winter is quieter, and that can be a nice thing. Hotels may be cheaper, the beaches feel more open, and downtown becomes more useful. Just be honest about the trip you want. If your dream is warm swimming, long beach days, and that big summer Gulf feeling, winter may feel too mild. If you like food, history, museums, coffee stops, seafood markets, and walking on quiet sand without fighting crowds, winter can still give you a really good Pensacola trip. Once the month makes sense, the bigger decision is where you stay. Pensacola is spread out more than many visitors expect. You're choosing between different versions of the trip, so the map matters as much as the hotel photos. Downtown Pensacola, Pensacola Beach, and Perdido Key can all be good choices, but they don't give you the same vacation. Downtown Pensacola makes sense if you want restaurants, Palafox Street, local coffee, museums, historic areas, and better backup plans when the weather gets weird. It can also be easier on the hotel budget than staying right on the sand. The trade-off is simple. You'll drive to the beach. If you want to wake up, walk out of your room, and have the Gulf right there, downtown may start annoying you by day 2. If you want beach time with real city options around it, downtown is a strong base. Pensacola Beach is the choice most first-timers picture. You're closer to Casino Beach, the pier area, beach restaurants, Park East, Park West, and the road toward Fort Pickens. If the trip is mostly about sand, water, and not making every beach run feel like a production, Pensacola Beach will probably make you happier. Just don't assume staying on the beach removes planning. You'll still deal with parking, beach flags, event crowds, restaurant waits, and slow traffic when everyone leaves around the same time. Perdido Key is slower and quieter. It fits travelers who want more condo time, Johnson Beach access, and a less crowded feel than the main Pensacola Beach scene. But don't book Perdido Key because the photos look peaceful and then expect downtown Pensacola, Casino Beach, Fort Pickens, and the Naval Aviation Museum to feel close. That's how a relaxed booking turns into a daily drive. Perdido Key is great when your plan matches that side of the area. It gets frustrating when your save list is all the way across town. A car makes Pensacola much easier. You can use rideshare for some simple plans, but the better trip usually comes from driving yourself, especially if you're mixing downtown, beaches, Fort Pickens, Johnson Beach, and aviation stops. Choose your base before you choose every activity. Do it backward, and you may end up with a pretty hotel and a vacation that feels like commuting in flip-flops. Beaches, Fort Pickens, and the Gulf Islands plan. The beaches are the reason most people come, but your day changes a lot depending on which one you choose. In photos, the sand can make everything look interchangeable. In real life, access, parking, restrooms, crowds, heat, and distance make a huge difference. A good beach plan in Pensacola starts with matching the beach to the kind of day you actually want. Casino Beach is the easiest first-timer beach. It's near the pier, beach restaurants, the big central lot, and the main Pensacola Beach energy. If you want to arrive, park, grab food nearby, walk around, and feel like you picked the main spot, Casino Beach does that. It's also where a lot of visitors naturally end up, which means the free parking can fill fast during high season and events. Showing up late on a busy day and expecting a chill parking moment is one of the quickest ways to let Pensacola humble you before lunch. Park East and Park West are the better moves when you still want Pensacola Beach, but you need more room to breathe. They're practical spacing options, not secret beaches where you'll be alone with the dolphins and a movie soundtrack. Park East has beach access, restrooms, showers, and more than 100 parking spaces. Park West gives you another way to spread out when the center of the beach feels too crowded. Keep both in your pocket instead of acting like Casino Beach is the only sand in town. Fort Pickens beaches feel different from the main beach area. This is the Gulf Islands National Seashore side of the trip, with dunes, open scenery, old brick military structures, and that end of the island feeling where the road starts to feel quieter. The problem is that people look at the map and treat Fort Pickens like something they can squeeze in after lunch. That plan gets ugly fast when the car is hot, the water bottles are empty, and everyone is pretending they're still having fun. Give Fort Pickens its own real block of time. Put it earlier in the day if you can. Bring water, pack sun protection, and leave room for the drive, the fort, a beach stop, and the return. The current Gulf Islands National Seashore private vehicle pass is listed at $25, and it's good for 7 days into Florida fee areas like Fort Pickens, Johnson Beach, and Opal Beach. Ferry fees are separate. Fees and access can change, so look at the National Park Service page before you leave your room. You only need one bit of Fort Pickens history for the place to click. The fort was built to defend Pensacola Bay and the Pensacola Navy Yard from the western end of Santa Rosa Island. Once you know that, the location makes sense. Those old walls sit where the entrance to the bay mattered, which makes the whole stop feel a lot less random. The ferry can be a fun way to reach Fort Pickens, but don't treat it like a guaranteed shortcut without looking at the current schedule. The Pensacola Bay Ferry connects downtown Pensacola, Pensacola Beach, and Fort Pickens when service is running. That can be a great way to turn transportation into part of the day. Just check the calendar, check the return time, and make sure it fits your actual plan. Missing the ride back is a very creative way to ruin everyone's mood. Johnson Beach near Perdido Key is the Gulf Islands option that makes more sense for travelers staying on that side. It's better for a slower beach day with National Seashore rules, less main beach energy, and a more natural setting. The Perdido Key area has beach access crossovers, pavilions, restrooms, an accessible boardwalk trail, and a multi-use path. It also has rules that matter. There's no roadside parking or RV parking, and spaces are first come, first served in designated lots only. In plain English, don't invent a parking spot because you're on vacation. The ticket will not care. Now the safety part, because Pensacola's water can look calm from a towel and still have conditions you need to respect. Check the beach flags before you swim. Pensacola Beach posts surf warning flags at places like Casino Beach, Park East, Park West, the fishing pier, and lifeguard towers. The county also warns that no flag doesn't automatically mean safe water. Rip currents are real, and nobody wants their beach day to become a local news clip. Heat matters too. Bring water, sunscreen, and shade if you're staying out for a while. Wear shoes across hot pavement because summer asphalt has no mercy. Fort Pickens and Johnson Beach can feel especially rough if you arrive with no water and no plan. Pensacola is fun, but it's still Florida. The sun shows up early and behaves like it's getting paid overtime. NAS Pensacola, Blue Angels, and the experiences people miss. The best Pensacola trip usually has more going for it than beach time. That's where the aviation side comes in. And it's also where people can mess up a whole morning by assuming this is normal attraction planning. NAS Pensacola is an active military base. You can't treat it like a museum in a downtown building where you simply show up, buy a snack, and wander inside whenever you feel like it. The National Naval Aviation Museum is one of the biggest reasons people plan around NAS Pensacola. It's currently listed as open Monday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., admission is free, and guided tours are listed as free with daily tour times. That sounds simple enough. The part you need to handle before the trip is base access. Public access is currently listed from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. through the West Gate at the south end of Blue Angel Parkway. For U.S. citizens 18 and older, the museum's planning information says you need a real ID or a valid U.S. passport. Vehicle operators need proper ID too. Foreign nationals need to be escorted by a U.S. citizen as the driver in the same vehicle. People in vehicles may be searched. Backpacks, coolers, weapons, drones, and alcohol are restricted or prohibited under current guidance. Access can also depend on parking availability at the museum and lighthouse. When parking fills, public access can pause until space is open. That's a lot of fine print for a vacation morning, which is exactly why you handle it ahead of time. If the Pensacola Lighthouse is also on your plan, treat it the same way because it sits on the base side too. The museum may be free, and the lighthouse may look like a simple add-on, but the whole cluster depends on access rules. Also, don't make Uber or Lyft your clever backup for getting on base. Current museum guidance says rideshare services aren't allowed on board NAS Pensacola. The Blue Angels are a huge part of Pensacola's personality. If your dates line up with the practice, it can be one of the coolest parts of the trip. Just don't build the whole vacation around a practice without looking at the schedule and remembering that weather can change things. For people with base access, the museum says flight line viewing gates open at 9:30 a.m. and the Blues are scheduled for 10:30 a.m. on practice days. That does not mean every morning is a practice morning. Airshow weekends are a different level of planning. The official 2026 Blue Angels schedule lists the Pensacola Beach Air Show on July 18th and the NAS Pensacola Homecoming Air Show on November 6th and 7th. If your trip overlaps those dates, treat it like an event trip. Hotels can get pricier, beach traffic can get heavier, parking can get stressful, and your casual plan to wander over around noon may need a tiny violin playing in the background. That doesn't mean you should avoid those weekends. They can be amazing if the air show is part of the reason you're going. Just be honest about the mood you want. If you want a low-key beach escape, an airshow weekend may feel like you accidentally joined a citywide festival. If you want the event, book earlier, allow extra time, and assume every beach move takes longer. Downtown Pensacola is the part of the trip people underrate. Palafox Street gives you restaurants, coffee, shops, and an easy walkable center. Historic Pensacola and nearby museum options give you something real to do when the Gulf gets rough. The beach flags look unfriendly, or the afternoon heat has everyone moving like their phone is at 2%. Joe Patty's Seafood also deserves a spot in the plan because it feels local without needing a whole production. It's currently listed at 524 South B Street, with hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. If you're staying downtown or passing through, it can be a seafood market stop, a quick food errand, or a way to build a simple meal around something local instead of waiting until everyone is sunburned, hungry, and suddenly very passionate about parking. Downtown gives the trip more flexibility. If beach weather turns messy, Fort Pickens feels too hot, NAS access doesn't line up, or a storm rolls through, you still have a day. Walk around Palafox, use a museum as a reset, grab coffee, stop by Joe Patty's, or save your energy for a proper dinner. Pensacola feels better when the beach doesn't have to carry the whole vacation by itself. Most Pensacola headaches start before anyone gets there. The biggest one is booking the wrong side of the area because the room photos look nice. Downtown, Pensacola Beach, and Perdido Key all have a reason to exist. The problem starts when your hotel is on one side and your actual plans are scattered across the other two. Before you book, look at your saved places on a map. If every day starts with a long drive, the room deal may not be much of a deal. Another mistake is treating Casino Beach like the only beach that counts. It's useful, especially for a first day or a first visit, but it can also be the busiest version of the experience. Park East and Park West give you more space without leaving Pensacola Beach. Fort Pickens gives you the National Seashore feel. Johnson Beach makes more sense if you're based near Perdido Key. You don't need to collect every beach like a scavenger hunt, you just need to pick the one that matches the day. Fort Pickens deserves a second warning because this one catches a lot of people. Don't save it for whatever time is left over. That usually means you get there hot, rushed, low on water, and slightly annoyed before you even start walking around. Treat it like a proper half-day plan if you want both the fort and beach time. Look at current alerts, understand the fee, and remember that the return drive still exists when everyone is tired. NAS Pensacola is another place you don't wing. If the National Naval Aviation Museum, Blue Angels practice, or the lighthouse is on your list, make sure your ID requirements, transportation plan, and timing all make sense. Also think about what's in the car. A backpack, cooler, drone, or other restricted item can create problems at the gate. A free museum can still cost you a morning if you can't actually get in. Beach flags are one of those things visitors ignore until they really matter. Look at them before swimming and pay attention again if the weather changes. The Gulf can look calm from the sand, then surprise you once you're in it. If flags or lifeguards tell you to stay out or be careful, listen. A boring safety day is the ideal outcome. Nobody books Pensacola hoping to become a cautionary tale with wet sunglasses. Traffic is the quiet trip spoiler. On peak beach days, sunny summer afternoons, and Blue Angels weekends, the bridge and beach roads can slow down fast. Showing up late and expecting easy parking is basically setting yourself up for frustration with sunscreen on. Meal planning matters for the same reason. If everyone waits until they're starving after hours in the sun, you'll pick whatever is closest, wait longer than you wanted, and pretend nobody is cranky while everyone is absolutely cranky. The main insider tip is simple. Go early. It sounds boring because it's boring, and that's why it helps. Mornings make Pensacola Beach easier. Parking is less painful, the sand and pavement are cooler, and the whole beach feels less chaotic before the heat and traffic start building. The same timing helps Fort Pickens if you want the fort. A beach stop, photos, and a drive back without turning the afternoon into punishment. The second smart move is keeping downtown ready as your backup plan. A lot of visitors treat downtown like something to use only when the beach fails, but that backup can save the trip. If the surf flags are rough, rain moves in, NAS access doesn't work, or the sun beats everyone down, shift inland. Walk Palafox Street, visit historic Pensacola, use a museum for a reset, grab coffee, stop by Joe Patty's, or build the evening around a real meal. The last mistake is trying to cram all of Pensacola into one overloaded day. Downtown Pensacola Beach, Fort Pickens, Perdido Key, and NAS Pensacola should not all be fighting for space on the same schedule. You'll spend more time moving between places than enjoying them. Give each day a lane. Make it a beach day, a Fort Pickens day, an aviation morning with downtown after, or a Perdido Key reset. Once the plan gets cleaner, the whole trip feels easier. Pensacola makes a lot more sense when you see it as a split destination. Downtown gives you food, history, coffee, museums, and a strong rainy day save. Pensacola Beach gives you the main sand, pier area, and beach day energy. Fort Pickens gives you the wilder Gulf Island side, as long as you give it real time. Perdido Key gives you the slower escape. NAS Pensacola gives you the aviation side, but only when the access rules fit your group. For a first visit, spring is the easiest window. Choose your stay area before you fill the schedule. Check beach flags every morning. Start beach days early. And don't leave Fort Pickens or NAS Pensacola to chance. That's the difference between a smooth Pensacola trip and one where the beach looks perfect, but the planning eats half the day.